Hi, welcome to PG6's channel. I haven't done a video in a long time. I don't know, I'm in the mood. So, I want to talk about this gun. This is a Ruger International. Flyby. Uh, it's pretty cool for a few reasons. First off, Alaska Arms makes these QD scope mounts that hold 0. So, you can... One second. Let me set this back down. Anyway, so you can take this scope on and off and use the express sights, and the express sights on this gun are off of the African model. This gun comes with like Ruger 1022 sights basically. I'm just not a fan of those. The express style sights, for those who haven't seen them, are that. It's like a excess big dot type arrangement. If I can get in front of the actual lens. They're pretty awesome for close range. They're okay for medium and further out. But for what I want this gun for, I think they make a lot of sense. And for those of you who haven't been following me on Instagram, this is kind of my interpretation of the scout rifle. So I want a decent scope with a high variable magnification. I went with a non-night capable scope, so non-illuminated, night vision or thermal or whatever, for a couple of reasons. Mainly weight and cost. I could totally shit out this scope and I'm only out a couple $100. It's a Weaver 2-10 by 38. And I know what you're saying. You can't load that with stripper clips. It's not a scout scope. It's not a scout rifle, blah, blah, blah. My answer, you've already seen, is a detachable magazine system. It's been in and out of this gun. If you want to see pictures of that, go on Instagram. Currently, I'm kind of in a... This adds a lot of weight. So if I'm not going into combat, I don't think I would run this. But like, if you had to fight with a bolt action rifle, detachable mags is the way to go. When Jeff Cooper did his scout rifle shit back in, what, the 80s, the options for this weren't really around yet. He was going with what there was and what was cheap. And that was stripper clips. Which, honestly, if you look at most of the early scout rifles that weren't based off of like a K98 or some shit like that, they ended up being like Remington 700s, and they didn't have stripper clips, so you had to feed them one round at a time, and they had fucking 4-round magazines just like this gun does. So I think a detachable 10-round magazine is a step up. I have one of these metal AI mags just for looks. It's $100 and is not worth it. Like, to have one cool looking mag to have in the gun, sure, but to have, 10 of them, no. All the rest of the mags I have are the Magpul AI mags. They work really well. The sling on this gun is a USGI canteen strap, which works really well on this, mainly because of this front swivel. It's kind of weird. It's like I don't know, like a Finnish style sling mount, like European style. Anyway, it's like a metal band that wraps around the gun. So why the International for the basis of this? I personally like the look of the International. I think it's a cool looking gun. And number two, it has a barrel profile that you will not see on any American rifle. For those who didn't catch it, when I had the gun up earlier, look how fucking skinny that barrel is. Like, most American barrels start out like this, taper to about like here, and then go straight out. This thing is like a pencil barrel. Makes this gun really fucking light. Like, without the scope on it, without the detachable magazine shit, we're talking like 5-6 pounds for a 308. That's pretty fucking light. I really like that. And you might say, well, why not have a heavier gun and be more accurate, blah, blah, blah. This does everything I need it to do. Okay? And if I can get away with having a 5-pound gun, I want to. It's not like a must-have, but it's really fucking nice. So, that's my thinking on it. And you might also say, what use is a scout rifle? Like, what would you use this gun for? That's such a hard question to answer, because the scout rifle and this gun, the things it has in common, are that it's not particularly well suited for any one task. Like, there are better hunting rifles, there are better combat rifles, there are better, you name it. However, if you're going to have one gun to do everything, this gun with the 10-round mags would be that gun. The ability to take out this 10-round mag and put in the flush fit is nice for hunting and that sort of shit. But like, as soon as it becomes a defensive rifle or a combat rifle, 10-round mag is where it's at. I've had the 10-round mag in it ever since I installed it, and I just switched it back last night because I was wanting to play around with the 4-rounder. If you're only going to own 2 rifles, I think a gun like this or a scout rifle of some sort and an AR-15 should be those 2 guns. You might say, well, what about a M14? What about this? What about that? Like, forget all that shit. Okay? If you're only going to own 2 guns to do everything, an AR-15 and this have the most versatility to them. And this has some stuff the AR-15 doesn't, namely range. Even with that skinny barrel and cheaper optics on it, this gun is way more suited to take a shot at 400 or 500 yards than a 14.5-inch AR-15 is. Especially power-wise. Okay, it gives you a little bit of range and precision that the AR-15 doesn't have, but the AR-15 is much better at shooting a whole bunch of shit 5 feet away from you, or 100 yards away from you. So I think they balance each other out. You might say, well, why wouldn't you get like a battle rifle? I don't want to have a fucking 20-pound gun. There is not a battle rifle in existence that once you outfit it with glass and everything else is not a 10-pound, 20-pound gun. Okay, the light ones are 10 pounds. The heavy ones can be 20. Okay, once you start like going, well, I need a match barrel, and I need this, and I need that, and I need a bipod. And, like, I have a fucking 20-pound 308 in the other room. It's a G3, but it's set up to be kind of a squad automatic rifle type thing, not a precision gun. And for that, it makes sense, because you're competing with, like, 30-pound light machine guns and shit like that. At that point, those guns can make sense. But for what this gun is for, having, something to supplant your AR-15 for longer range shit. If you have a 14.5-inch AR with a red dot on it, you're not going to want to shoot somebody at 400 or 500 yards with that thing. It's just, it's not realistic. This gun would not be ideal for that. Ideal for that would be, a 20-pound Remington 700. However, with the magnification and the cartridge, cold bore, not, having slung 30 rounds to the gun, having the barrel hot as shit, I think you could reasonably hit a person at 500 or 600 yards with this thing. from what I've seen of it. It's not the most accurate gun in the world. That's something you have to get used to when you're carrying a lightweight rifle. Like, could you make it heavier and make it more accurate? Yes, yes you could. That would ruin the whole point of the gun. I kind of view this like a brush gun for like an Alaskan cop or some shit like that. Like, it's not really animal defense, but it's built like an animal defense gun. So, like the defensive guns for like hunting and shit are like big magnum calibers because you're worried about shit that's like fucking huge. This would be like for shooting people and wolves, maybe. Something like that. Anything in North America short of like bears and moose, this would do just fine for it. In fact, I would say this would be okay for bears and moose too. You just have to get the right loads. That's a whole different conversation. Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on the Scout rifle. And where I started with this was World War II technology, World War II ideas for what a sniper is. What's the modern equivalent of that? The modern equivalent of that's a Scout rifle, right? I mean, look at like a Mosin Nagant sniper from World War II, or a K98 sniper, or any of the American or British ones. They are Scout rifles for the most part. Do they all have Scout scopes? No, they don't. But like the Mosin Nagant, you can use the irons or the scope. Okay, it's that sort of thinking because the optics aren't that good. Okay, almost all the scopes can quick detach if they get damaged. Yet again, part of the thinking behind this. So kind of my idea was like, if you were going to use modern technology and build the best version of that gun that you could, what would you do? And this is sort of the answer I came up with. You could probably do a better job than this, but I kind of want some style points too. Like, the wood stock is fragile. If I was really doing this, I'd do a fiberglass stock. Nobody makes the gun I want in a fiberglass stock, and it doesn't look as good. Okay? Optics wise, this $200 Weaver made in fucking Taiwan or Japan or wherever the fuck it's made is a million fucking times better than any scope in World War II. Okay, so between that scope, that rifle, and detachable 10-round magazines, you have a better sniper weapon than anyone who shot anybody in World War II. So if you're going to seriously tell me that that is not a useful platform, and that you need a heavy-barreled 700 or whatever, you need to be able to shoot people at a mile, I think you're greatly misunderstanding what the purpose of a gun like this is for. Okay? I think if you're actually going to be involved in some sort of shit like that, where you're going to be shooting a bolt-action rifle, you might be shooting at stuff a lot fucking closer than 1,000 yards. Okay? Yet again, World War II. Was any sniper shot taken at 1,000 yards? No. It's the most sniper shots ever taken in human fucking history, and they were all, under 500. I can guarantee you that just by the tech they had. Anyway, I guess it's a balance between what we think we need and what we actually need. And this is kind of what we actually need. You need semi-precision rifle fire out to like, basically the end of the ranges you'd be using your assault rifle at. Because that is really the realistic distance at which you're going to be engaging anyway. Most places. Now you might say, well, what about Afghanistan? I'm not going to talk about fucking Afghanistan because Afghanistan is the exception that proves the rule, if I could talk. Anywhere in North America, anywhere in Europe, anywhere in fucking Central or South America, pretty much. The only places in North America that this would not be optimal, in my opinion, would be in the western deserts of the U.S., which are kind of Afghanistan-like. But I don't live there. The places where I live, A 300-yard shot is a long fucking shot. Like, you just can't see past that. Okay, in the city, maybe. But when are you ever going to be shooting in a city? Also, in a city, you'd basically be standing in the middle of a street to get a shot that far. Or up on top of like a skyscraper. It's not realistic. So, I'm not really sure there's a point to this video, but I wanted to make a video and I wanted to talk about this gun. So, thanks for listening to me ramble. Maybe you got something out of this. I don't know. I would highly encourage you to get some sort of scout rifle, whether it's like my setup here, it's sort of a pseudo scout rifle, or one of the pre-built things with the scout scope and all the rest of that shit. The idea of a bolt action gun with, a 10-round detachable magazine and a scope is a very useful gun to have. And once you have to hide your AR-15s, you'll have something to shoot. Per my last video about the NRA. That's the other thing I really like about these guns. Is that it's like, you could ban almost everything you want. This gun is always going to be legal, pretty much. I mean, this is legal in Canada except for the magazine. Put a 5-round mag in this, it's legal in Canada. Okay? This gun in 243 is legal in Mexico. There's a fuck ton of places where you can have this gun. 100% legal in Australia. Okay, so the US is a long way away from being any of those. So for you people living in fucking California or Massachusetts or wherever, there's your gun. At least in my opinion. Whether it's this or the Gunsight Scout Rifle or, whatever. The Savage Scout. Some bolt action rifle with a 10-round detachable box magazine and a scope it's the ban-proof rifle. They will literally never be able to outlaw this as long as there's hunting. Okay? At least that's my thoughts. So, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.